Speed now on that story breaking in China, where they've closed off a major city at the center of that mysterious and growing viral outbreak that's now killed at least 17 people and has spread to this country, where one American is being treated.
Listen up!
Miguel has late details.
Tonight, a drastic measure. China ordering a quarantine for the entire city of Wuhan. 11 million people, no travel in or out.
11
coronavirus was first detected and is spreading fast. Our Janice Mackey-Freyer left the city before the lockdown.
So it's about 4 o'clock in the morning. We've received word that there's going to be effectively a full quarantine.
This is serious.
So we're packing up and we're heading out.
With many on the move just hours before the curfew goes into effect, the Chinese government has deployed screening stations to catch the sick. The airport and train stations will all be shut down.
It's not just travel in and out of the city that's affected. It's everything within Wuhan as well. Ferries, public transport. As we were leaving, we saw all of the buses just parked on the side of the street.
This meat market, ground zero for the outbreak, has also closed down and has been quarantined off by police, with Chinese officials confirming nearly 20 deaths and well over 500 infections. The coronavirus has now been detected or suspected in at least 11 countries across the globe. Isopods show the extreme measures being taken to treat the and protect medical staff. The sick had cleared international airports where new health screening measures
adequate
are now
to the plague.
Even flight attendants are wearing masks in the air.
Some people died already, so yeah, under the nervous.
One American is still hospitalized near Seattle after travel from China. Dr. George Diaz is treating him.
So on a plane, you could easily spread it.
It certainly would be possible to spread on a plane if someone's coughing right next to you.
Tonight, the world watching. A new deadly virus spreads as many flee Wuhan.
Those who are hospitalized are suffering from flu-like conditions. We are told the victim who is being treated here is in good condition, but ultimately it'll be up to the CDC to decide when he can go home. Lester.
Yeah, this story unfolding very rapidly. All right, Miguel, thank you. Stunning new allegations this evening. An investigation tied Saudi crown prince to a phone hack on Amazon billionaire Jeff Bezos. NBC's Andrea Mitchell has details.
Tonight, the shocking UN report linking the Saudi crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, to the 2018 hack of the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, head of Amazon at the Washington Post. UN experts saying they believe the crown prince was trying to influence, if not silence, the Washington Post reporting on Saudi Arabia. All starting with the Post publishing harsh criticism by Saudi-born columnist Jamal Khashoggi in 2017. 2 months later, the Saudis bought a spyware company. In March, the Crown Prince meets with President Trump at the White House. The next day, the Saudi invites Bezos to a private dinner in Los Angeles. At that April dinner, Bezos and the Crown Prince exchange phone numbers to correspond on WhatsApp. On May 1st, an encrypted video file from the Crown Prince's account is sent to Bezos through WhatsApp, which technical experts say infected Bezos' phone. Khashoggi was killed in October by Saudi government officials, with the CIA later concluding with high confidence the Crown Prince was behind the plot. The next month, a photo is texted to Bezos' phone from the Crown Prince's account with an image resembling a woman with whom Bezos, then married, was having an affair. That was later exposed by the National Enquirer. Bezos himself confirmed the affair, accusing the Saudis of gaining access to his private data, including embarrassing photos. The Saudi foreign minister denying it all today.
The idea that the Crown Prince would hack Jeff Bezos' phone is absolutely silly.
The spyware company also denies involvement. But if the Crown Prince did attack Bezos' phone,
These are the people that masterminded 9/11. That the government of the United States has been fully aware of, and they have suppressed it because of all the money involved. It's not just about a journalist. It's about what these people have set out to do as far as declaring war on the United States. Now, they'll approach themselves as us being friendly. Look at them black eyes. Uh-huh. I see 666 all over that guy.
Is anyone safe?
It means that the Saudi regime had no fear of attacking a U.S. citizen, and not just any citizen, the head of a major U.S. company.
Right.
Tonight, Bezos tweeted a picture of himself at Khashoggi's memorial, even as activists are asking why the president has rejected mounting intelligence about the crown prince's role in his death. Lester.
Because the president's been hoodwinked.
Just 60 seconds with the newly revealed messages between Harvey Weinstein and one of his accusers, and explosive new claims that the Grammys are rigged. Stay with us.
Because the president's been hoodwinked. That's why. Pertaining to the Saudi government.
Messages and emails. Here's NBC's Stephanie Goss.
Harvey Weinstein walked gingerly into court this morning without the walker he has relied on for weeks.
Harvey, how are you feeling today?
In its opening statement, the prosecution laid out a timeline of graphic sexual assault and misconduct allegations involving 6 women spanning 2 decades, telling the jury the man seated right there is not just a tycoon in Hollywood, he was a rapist. Weinstein pleaded not guilty to 5 charges of sexual assault, including rape, and has always denied having non-consensual sex. The case centers around the allegations of 2 women. Today, details of one of the rape charges were revealed for the first time. According to prosecutors, Jane Doe 1 was a 27-year-old aspiring actress from a dairy farm in Washington when Weinstein assaulted her in a New York City hotel room in 2013. The woman, who has chosen not to identify herself publicly, went on to have a relationship with Weinstein, including additional sexual contact after he promised her a movie role. The prosecution says she was raped again in November of the same year. According to the defense, there are hundreds of emails and texts that establish a loving relationship between the two.
Wow.
Weinstein's attorneys say Jane Doe 1 gave the movie producer her new cell phone number after the first alleged assault, writing in a message, "Call me anytime. Always good to hear your voice." She also thanks Weinstein for his unfailing support and kindness and asks him if he will meet her mother. And in 2017 writes, "I love you, I always do, but I hate feeling like a booty call." The defense told the jury that all 6 women will face tough questions for the first time, calling the prosecution's entire case a mirage. According to prosecutors, these emails and texts don't prove that the incidents were consensual. A forensic psychiatrist will testify that victims of sexual assault often stay in contact with their abusers long after the attack, Lester.
All right, Stephanie, thank you. Let's turn now to the growing scandal for the Grammys. With just 4 days until the ceremony, the ousted head of the Academy claims the awards are rigged, and big-name artists may have been cheated out of nominations. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez has that.
I'm so excited to be here with you this morning.
Just 2 months after announcing the Grammy Award nominations, the ousted CEO of the Recording Academy, Deborah Dugan, is claiming there's widespread corruption due to a boys' club mentality within the organization. In her discrimination complaint, Dugan specifically says committees added 30 of this year's possible nominees, even though they had not made the cut in voting. She also claims one of this year's nominees for Song of the Year was voted 18th in that category, but got a nomination anyway because he or she served on the nominating committee. Dugan did not identify the song, but said that other artists like Ed Sheeran and Ariana Grande missed out on nominations, even though they had enough votes.
Corruption.
What's shocking to
Corruption.
I think what's most shocking to me about this complaint is that it's gone on for so long and that there is no oversight over the voting committee, that you could actually vote for yourself.
The Academy has not specifically addressed the corruption allegations, but tonight it says it's investigating. It is deeply disturbing to us and quite frankly heartbreaking to witness the firestorm against our organization that has been unleashed. We stand ready to address all concerns, allegations, and accusations with facts in hand. Just days before the Grammys, the former chief executive claiming the awards are rigged, while the Academy now accuses her of trying to steal the show. Gabe Gutierrez, NBC News, New York.
Tough new restrictions proposed today on animals on planes. Emotional support animals would be banned and only dogs would be allowed as service animals. Tom Costello has details.
The nation's airlines say it's out of control. Too many passengers claiming dogs, cats, even peacocks, pigs, and miniature horses are service animals or emotional support animals to avoid a $125 pet fee. Today, the Department of Transportation proposed tough new rules. Emotional support animals are not service animals. Only dogs trained to help persons with a disability will be considered service animals and allowed in a passenger cabin. A psychiatric service animal would also require training. Welcome news to Sharon Giovinazzo, who is blind and relies on her dog Watson with 18 months of training. But he's been attacked in airports by so-called emotional support dogs.
If I would have been at the top of an escalator and that happened, I probably would have ended up at the bottom of the escalator.
Airlines have long complained of websites offering fake certifications for animals.
Our airplanes started to look like Noah's Ark. We had every kind of animal there could be, and we had every kind of safety and health issue because of it.
Some travelers may be upset now about having to pay a fee if their pet isn't certified, but any passenger who says they need a psychiatric support animal will have to prove the animal is trained, well-behaved, and healthy. Lying on a federal form can carry serious penalties. Lester?
All right, Tom.
A psychiatric support animal. What's next that's going to come from the psychiatric world?
Well, thanks. A large, slow-moving winter storm is now sweeping through the central part of the country after a dangerous cold wave. Al Roker is here. Al, what are we looking at?
Lester, the good news is temperatures are finally moderating down through the southeast, but we've got another storm we're dealing with. As you can see on the radar, this thing stretches 1,300 miles, 10 million people impacted with winter weather advisories. The storm system will be pushing to the east tomorrow with ice and snow across the Midwest, heavy rain for the Mississippi River Valley. By Friday, it's an icy mix through the Great Lakes, and by Saturday, we're looking for rain from D.C. to New York and snow in the interior Northeast and New England. Snowfall amounts anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of snow in those interior sections and heavy rain down through the southeast. Lester?
All right, Al, thanks. And that cold snap in Florida is causing quite an unusual problem. We'll have that coming up.
Colica.
Again, order me to take aspirin, and I do.
Be sure to talk to your doctor before you begin an aspirin regimen.
Listen to the doctor. Take it seriously.
Any comments, Doc?
Yeah. Only pay for what you need with Liberty Mutual. Only pay for what you need with Liberty Mutual.
Oh,
Con Liberty
God.
Mutual solo pagas lo que necesitas. Only pay for what you need. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
The ups and downs of frequent mood swings can plummet you to extreme.
It's really scary about that disease, that outbreak. 11 million people just in that one town, in that one city. That's frightful. Very, very frightful. Once more, the Bible says, and in the last days, we will see signs. Signs in the heavens and signs upon the earth, such as man has never seen before. Living in perilous times. Uncertain times. Try to get this commercial over with. Here we go.
Confused about navigating the digital world? If you're a business owner, here's your chance to build a solid digital foundation through the PMG Digital
That's
System.
another commercial. I thought it was the news. Oh well, it'll come on in a minute. No, that ain't it. Hang on. Here we go.
It was a strange but serious weather alert from South Florida. Iguanas possibly falling from trees, not dying, but frozen from the cold snap. Kerry Sanders explains.
New York has pigeons, South Florida iguanas.
Right.
And overnight, when temperatures dropped below 40, we had the night of falling iguanas. The cold-blooded reptiles in shock, unable to grip their perch in trees. It rained iguanas.
As you can see, they are frozen.
The National Weather Service even issuing a falling iguana forecast. They're from near the equator, but multiplied years ago when someone released a pregnant pet.
They do nothing to help the environment, and they don't belong here. They do not belong here.
Iguana wrangling, now a full-time job.
So the sun is out and he's beginning to warm up now? Yes, he is starting to regain consciousness.
Animal lovers today trying to warn the lethargic lizards. And with tomorrow's forecast back in the 70s, I want to know, when will it rain like this again? Kerry Sanders, NBC News, Miami Beach.
You're going to need a really tough umbrella. Coming up, a teacher whose students showed up to celebrate her American dream.
When you shop for your home at Wayfair...
Okay, there we go. That's enough.
You get...
I didn't try to rein them in. I mean, I lost my job twice.
When you...
Their service is free. I only pay my copays. Does your pharmacy do that?
Pill Pack by Amazon Pharmacy.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Country when he was running against Donald Trump as a presidential candidate. He now is running in terror of Donald Trump for re-election in South Carolina this year. Every breath, every public word Lindsey Graham says is based on his terror of what Donald Trump can do to him if he doesn't worship Donald Trump publicly, and what his voters will do to him if he doesn't worship Donald Trump publicly. There was no one like that in the United States Senate during the Clinton trial. No one.
In either party.
No, in either party. Absolutely not. And so there's a poison element on the Republican side that has been poisoned by Trump terror, the thing that guides every public moment of their lives. But there's and Claire can tell you when the chamber changes into a function like this, something changes inside you. You feel something very, very different to be in that chamber in a situation like this.
It's fascinating, as you say. We have a chance again to go quickly to another U.S. Senator who is in this jury, Chris Murphy, a Democrat of Connecticut. Thanks for joining me on your dinner break, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me for a few minutes.
A couple minutes, and I know when you got to go, you'll tell us. But what do you think of the Democrats' arguments today? The House managers making the case now in earnest all day, and they have 2 more days to do it if they want to use the time, arguing that the public available evidence, even without any remaining witnesses, shows that the president abused his office.
I mean, their case is devastating, and it's, for me, been interesting to look across that chamber at so many of my Republican colleagues who spent all of 2015 and 2016 warning their party and warning the country the devastation that would be wrought if Donald Trump became the nominee. And now they are staring that result, that consequence in the face. I think that the House managers have been very smart to rely on a lot of video testimony from the House proceedings. I think many Republicans didn't see that House testimony. It's the first time they're actually watching Gordon Sondland and Bill Taylor testify to this corruption and testify to this scheme.
How do you know that?
That's important.
I'm curious how you know whether or not it looked new to them.
I think a lot of those senators were paying very close attention, and in my private conversations with many of them, I know that not all of them were paying as close attention to those House hearings as you would hope they would be.
And so I'm sure many of us want to know, especially those of us who did watch and cover them closely, and many people in the State Department and in our government felt it was important. Do you know why that wasn't seen then? Was it a see no evil idea? They just didn't want to get into it? Or was it everyone's busy and you guys don't always see the hearings, even the ones that seem like pretty big hearings? I mean, I would imagine in Watergate, the John Dean hearing, everyone saw.
Yeah.
Because that's the characteristics of the American people. Out of sight, out of mind. That's the way that we have been programmed. That's the way that we have been brainwashed. That unless it's brought to our attention in a very, very blunderous type way, odds are we're not going to pay attention to it. You know, the newscasters gets on the news and talks about, oh, possible tornado coming your way. I'm going to say 5 out of 5 that hear that, 5 of them take it serious. The other 5 is like, oh, well, we've heard that song and dance before, until the tornado actually gets on top of them. Once the tornado gets on top of them, then it's too late. Then you have to deal with circumstances the way the circumstances unfold, because you did not properly identify what was going on. That has been the American people's characteristic problem now for quite some time, that has got us in the position that we're in right now. I've said probably 10 years ago, or maybe even a little longer, that whenever we started having abnormal weather patterns here in this area, towards it being extremely warm and hot during December and January and February, I started saying then that the people should look upon these events that's going on with our environment the same way that they look upon a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake. But instead, we just, oh, it's an enjoyable day. Oh, let's put on our shorts. Okay, maybe we should get the boat out a little earlier than what we ordinarily do. That's how the American people respond to crises, until it's directly up on top of them. It's feast or famine with the American people. They sway one way or the other. They're either too weak or too strong. They either totally ignore something or they beat it to death. Kind of like the child abuse problem. Whenever I was growing up, it was okay for you to beat your children as long as you kept a little bit of air in their lungs. But then suddenly, society swayed the other way to the point that now, if we even look at one of them wrong, much less talk down to any of our children, well, they're going to get us for child abuse. We're causing this child to have bad nightmares. Oh, now we got psychiatric dogs that are supposed to get on airplanes, and psychiatric parrots, and psychiatric pigs, and psychiatric little horses. And the psychiatric community is what has destroyed the majority of this country because of their unethical procedures. They're going to thank psychiatric what's coming around the bend pertaining to this disease that's being unleashed. Basically going to be another, looks like it's going to be, or it has the potential of being another bubonic plague. Some sort of typho that's breaking out.
It's been a method of operation for many Republicans since the beginning of the Trump administration. They don't want to be in a position of having to respond to every disastrous development, so they just shut their ears to it. I mean, you know that you can count...
out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. As long as it's not affecting them directly, they could care less. We have become adjusted to kicking the can down the road and letting the next generation deal with our problems.
Multiple instances every single day where a senator will say to a reporter, well, I didn't see it, talk to me tomorrow. Whether or not that's true, again, I think it is very different to know that this testimony is being packaged together in a tight, concise argument, not just for senators to see, but for all their constituents to see as well. And I think they have to reckon with that reality as well.
Senator, while you're here, my colleague Lawrence O'Donnell.
Reckon with it.
Senator Murphy, we know who the Democrats who Chuck Schumer wants as witnesses. He has specified those witnesses. You also voted on them last night. Have there been any serious talks with Republicans about who, or with the president's side, about who the president would actually want to call as defense witnesses?
So I have talked to a number of Republicans in the Senate who are reluctant, if not outright opposed, to calling Hunter Biden or Joe Biden. I think there are many of them that think it would be very bad for Republicans if this turned into some circus sideshow. But what I think is significant is that they have made no offer, they have made no suggestion as to what witnesses the president's side would like. And as far as I understand, there has been no real discussion between Republican and Democratic leadership about what a witness list would look like. And, that is fairly scary given the fact that this trial is going to move really fast. I don't think the president's lawyers are going to take more than a day. And thus we might be voting on witnesses as early as this weekend or early next week. That discussion needs to be happening now. Everybody knows who we want.
Senator?
We need to know who they want.
Now, I know you're 6 minutes away from reconvening. I'm told you have to go, but really quick, you just made a little bit more news at the end. You just said your intelligence, your information is that the the Republican White House lawyers have 3 days. They might use only one.
Well, I'm just judging by how little of their time they used last night. I mean, I was shocked, as others were, by how unprepared those lawyers were to really make full arguments. I think they still haven't decided whether they're arguing that the president didn't do it or he did do it and it doesn't matter. And so just given the brevity of their arguments last night, I would be shocked if they have 24 hours of arguments to make before the Senate.
Very interesting, and I know you got to go. Thank you so much, Senator. We'll let you get back. We're now just under 5 minutes away from the Senate reconvening, although they have run late, but we'll go to them as soon as it reconvenes. The panel stays with me. But we bring in another new voice, Robert Costa, national political reporter for the Washington Post, moderator of Washington Week on PBS. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. There's some breaking news right here tonight at the Senate. Senator Ted Cruz, who's informally part of the President Trump's legal team, just told reporters that testimony from Hunter Biden is, quote, now critical and directly relevant. So just hours after Minority Leader Chuck Schumer drew a line in the sand and said no deal, Biden for Bolton, you have Ted Cruz, a key player here, making that demand.
And so give us your interpretation of the strategy we're seeing. There is the legal background, and then there's what this all means in a political brawl. If you want, Bob, I'll do the legal, and you could do the Washington reporting. I've told viewers already, in normal legal trials, you don't trade relevant witnesses for irrelevant ones. As Chuck Rosenberg and I were discussing, if you have the bank teller who says they saw something, you don't also let in the Cocker Spaniel who took a walk. You have to stay relevant. But this is not just a traditional trial. This is something where the Senate can come up with whatever works for 51 votes. When you see Cruz coming out tonight and saying that, what do you see it setting up in terms of the battle lines?
I see the shadow of President Trump hovering over everything. Senator Cruz is in close touch with President Trump's legal team and with the president himself. And the president is telling his allies tonight, I want this trial over with. He knows there's at least 45 votes for dismissal on the GOP side, according to Senator Rand Paul. And now you have the White House saying if we are going to do witnesses and have any kind of agreement, it's going to be tit for tat, regardless of relevancy. They see this as political war, not as a legal trial.
Yeah, and you say regardless of relevancy, many people would see that as a tell. But the reporting you're doing does match with what we've heard. Many of the White House lawyers, certainly the new ads, what we call the TV lawyers, saying, look, this is all about debates over due process, fair treatment of the president, what is an abuse of power. Anything more you want to add before I lose you, sir?
Real quick, talking to some of Senator Cruz's allies tonight, they say they really believe they can get the Democrats to buckle and try to make a deal because they feel the Democrats need more witnesses to make their case. But at this point, it's a political standoff, and there's no break from McConnell. The moderates, like Senator Romney, Senator Collins, they're not speaking up in opposition to Senator Cruz at the